Well, you know, we've been talking about it all month long, actually in the month of June. Our final ABC15 Salutes Arizona Veterans honoree works hard to help the community, something that she became accustomed to while deployed in Iraq. She's a veteran, a war widow, a single mother of 2 children, but she still finds the time to volunteer. We want you to meet LaFever-Ceja.
I enlisted in 2002 at 17. I actually called the recruiter on my 17th birthday. And I originally enlisted as a medic, as a healthcare specialist, but I reclassed into civil affairs shortly after that, and I deployed to Iraq in 2005 to 2006 as a civil affairs specialist. They're basically responsible for the civilian populace in a war zone. They outline like the protected targets like mosques, schools, churches, things of that sort, and then they also limit the effects of war on the civilian populace as much as possible. Halfway through our tour, the sectarian violence in Baghdad started escalating, and a lot of civilians started flooding into our area from Baghdad and the surrounding areas, and they started leaving Iraq trying to get into the other countries like Jordan, Syria, and Saudi Arabia. We were responsible for making sure that they had what they needed, and that actually gave me like a passion for helping refugees and dislocated civilians. When I returned from Iraq, I got married. I actually met him in Iraq at the PX magazine stand. And we kept in contact through MySpace. And he came home about 4 months after I did, and then we got married 3 months after that. Maybe a year after he came home was when he was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that he caught while over there. And that's what eventually made him pass away. Currently I'm studying human nutrition and pre-med, and I plan to use that to either be a registered dietitian or go to medical school to become an OBGYN. The Student Veterans Association is an organization on ASU, consisted mostly of military veterans who are now attending college and some dependents as well. I wanted to converse with fellow veterans because a large issue when veterans get out of the service and then go to college to use the GI Bill is they're a lot older. Even if you join at 17, do 4 years and get out at 22, you're still sitting in a classroom with 18, 19-year-olds who don't have the experiences that you have. And people miss like the structure of the military, or like knowing what to expect, that sort of thing. And a lot of people can view that as a huge obstacle, and they either drop out or they don't get as good a grades as they are capable of. We have family events to like incorporate them as well, and then community outreach events every month. Those are focused mainly on veteran outreach organizations like MANA.
These are women's and children's clothes. Can I still use those?
MANA is important to us because they serve homeless veterans, and obviously the Student Veterans Association at ASU, we're all mostly veterans or dependents, and so there's always going to be that connection to any veteran that you meet. And so to see them like on the streets or them struggling, it kind of breaks my heart. We collect clothing donations year-round to give to them, and the year before last we collected a little over 200, and then this year we collected I believe 338 pounds of clothing. We just lead with that idea that these are your brothers and sisters and they need your help, and who better to help them than the people who actually understand them.
And we are thrilled and honored to be joined by Army veteran LaFever-Ceja and her 4-year-old son Gideon, who's joining us as well. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Hillary, when you watch that story about your life, how does that make you feel?
A lot of people have told me that like my life is very tragic for being so young, but I really don't see it that way, because I think that bad events are going to happen to anyone, but you can let the events define you, or you can let how you react to the events define you. And I'd much rather be the second one.
Well said. Well said. I just am in awe of you. First of all, thank you for your service, and I'm sorry for your loss. How today, I mean, look at, you're a single mom, you've got 2 little ones. I mean, Gideon here is 4, you have David at home who's almost 6, and you still go out and work in the community, the Manna House. How do you find the time? People at home are watching going, my goodness, how do you do it all? Because you do.
I'm really good at time management, I guess.
You have to be. What would you say to some folks out there who, you know, some of them are at home and you just said, you know, don't let disasters define you. Some people at home are thinking, you know, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that, who haven't been through a quarter of what you've been through. What do you say to people out in the community and words that you can give them to encourage them to get involved as you have?
There's always someone out there that is going through more than you are. And I know that sounds really cliche, but for instance, there's war widows in other countries who don't get the monetary compensation that I do. And I could feel sorry for myself about that, and I'm not going to lie and say that I don't miss Matt terribly, but there's always someone out there that is going to care about you. There's always someone out there that's going to want to walk you through that, even if they don't know what you're going through.
Right.
For instance, met a couple people recently who are single parents who have their children diagnosed with autism, and I had to go through that journey of getting him diagnosed, getting him services all by myself, and I don't want anybody to go through that by themselves again. So I will help anyone get through that, get them diagnosed, get them services. And even if you think that you're all alone in this world, you're not. There's always someone out there that's willing to help you.
And I think that's true, not just for veterans, but for anybody. Like you said, you've had to experience that on your own. But you were touched. You have such a nurturing personality, I can tell. But you were touched when you were in Iraq by the refugee camps. And so you've become a part of Welcome to America Project. Tell us about that project.
So Welcome to America Project is Phoenix-based, and it was started by a woman who saw an Afghan family in the newspaper immediately after 9/11. And she was reading this and she thought, you know, how tragic that they had just escaped Afghanistan. They get here, 9/11 happens like within a month after they get here, and the picture in the newspaper was of this vacant apartment. And she just thought, you know, they have nothing, and not only are they most likely going to get some sort of racial backlash from what immediately happened, even though they have nothing to do with it. And so she gathered up a bunch of supplies, asked her neighbors, her friends, to give them like any sort of household items, and just delivered it to this family. Then she did more research on her own and discovered that when refugees come to America, oftentimes they don't even know what city they're going to end up in. If they already have a sponsor in that city, then they might know, but most of the time they come here and the only thing the State Department is required to give them is a mattress, a pillow, bed sheets, a plate, a spoon, a fork, a knife, a bowl, and a cup. And oftentimes when these refugees are leaving whatever political disaster they're escaping from, they're taking what they can carry, and sometimes they're not even taking that. Sometimes they grab their family and they're leaving with what they have.
And for some reason this touched your heart, and you've decided to get involved in that, in addition to the Manna House, in addition to working at ASU, in addition to raising 2 children by yourself, one who is autistic. And I just want you to know that all of Arizona watching right now salutes you and is honoring you and thanking you and your husband for your service and all of your hard work and dedication. So on behalf of ABC15 and Sanderson Ford, we thank you for your service, and we'd like to give you this $500 Visa gift card.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Gideon, your mommy's pretty special. Do you know that? Well, he doesn't know
gonna
that
be
just
shy.
yet, but we're getting there. Hillary, thank you so much for being here and serving and sharing your story with us, and I'm sure, no doubt, inspiring others.
Thank you.
All right.